Alright guys, we're going to go pretty quick on this one because we got a lot to cover. First off, I'm sorry to my subscribers here. It's been a couple of weeks since I updated. I always try to produce a show a week or so, and these last couple of weeks I've been way behind. A lot has changed. I got a job that I've just started, and I bought a car, and a lot of things like that going on. But, the Old School Guns Tour. Now this gun, brought to you by a viewer of mine, APX Shaggy, something along those lines. He said he had one. I've always wanted to have one on the show. This is a Brass Eagle Rainmaker. I've owned a couple of these in my life, but never while I was doing the Old School Guns Tour, so I can't bring it to you. This gun was released in 1998. It was the third electronic gun made, so there was the Shocker, then the Angel, then this, which kind of breaks the myth that the Ion was the first budget-grade electronic gun. That's a myth that people throw out there, that the Ion was invented this middle-range electronic gun craze, and that's just simply not true, because in the days when the Angel was $1,200, the Shocker was $900, this came in at roughly about a $500 and below price tag, so the third electronic gun out there was a budget electronic gun. Another gun that fits into that category I also have on the show is the Tribal, another budget electro-pneumatic gun. Neither of them were nearly as popular as the Ion, but the point is the Ion didn't invent the genre. So, this gun was made by Brass Eagle. It's called the Rainmaker, as I told you. One of the coolest things I love about this gun is how it operates. It works very much like an auto-triggered Sterling. If you guys know what a Sterling pump gun is, it's a derivation of a Nelson valve pump gun. It's basically a stacked tube Nelson valve gun. So in a Nelson valve, you have the bolt in the, or in the Sterling anyway, you have a bolt in the top tube, which is linked to your pump. Then you have a carrier, which in this gun is a bolt, and that, when you pump it all the way back, sorry, Phantoms aren't supposed to cock, so you kind of got to force them without air. And so there's a spring between the hammer and the carrier, and they're clipped together with a little clip, spring-loaded clip, and when you pull the trigger, you release the clip, the hammer hits the valve, right? A Sterling is very similar to that, and this is essentially a semi-automatic Sterling. It has the bolt in the top tube, so it's a stacked tube gun, and right here you can see there is a pressure cylinder. Also in this shroud, this is where the battery goes. Early ones had 9-volt, or early ones had 4 AA's. Later guns had 9-volt boards. Anyway, so this this pneumatic cylinder, it's about the diameter of a dime. It's about that long, and there's also the solenoid is in there too that controls that. And so what happens is, this gun, when you pull the trigger, the bolt is back, and the hammer and carrier are compressed and linked together back here. What happens is the whole operation comes forward, and it runs across a pin when it reaches its close point, at which point the hammer kicks back and hits the valve. And then the whole operation reverses, where the piston then pushes the carrier and bolt back, which makes this an open bolt gun. If you guys need an animation, there's a great one on ZDSPB, which is a sweet resource. So anyway, the deal with this gun, and the reason why this design didn't go very far, and we don't see too many of these guns anymore, is because it's just painfully slow. In terms of cycle speeds, not trigger speeds. So, if we talk about cycle speeds, we have modern guns that most modern guns, at least poppet valves anyway, have less than 10 milliseconds dwell. Most spool valve guns have less than 15 milliseconds dwell. And this gun operates with a dwell of 42 milliseconds. So it is way, way slower than even the slowest guns out there, which are spool valve guns. They just take a long time to cycle. I'm not saying they can't shoot fast, I'm just saying they take a long time to cycle comparatively. And this gun takes even longer. And so, you know, if 100 milliseconds is equal to 10 balls per second, which it happens to be, and this gun takes 42 milliseconds dwell time, which means the total cycle time is even more, roughly twice that. This gun really can only shoot at like 11 BPS, 12 BPS, right in there, which is why they fell by the wayside in terms of the speed race. So, this gun has some really cool mods, actually. which is what made this gun famous, is the ease of modification. There are airsmiths who literally made their name with this gun, Rainman 229 being the big one, because they were good at modifying these guns, because these guns are just very simple. Stock, this is the high pressure regulator back here. It holds a shim stack and a poppet and that whole jazz. Under here is the LPR, and both of those are kind of garbage regulators. You know, yeah, anyway, they're both kind of garbage regulators. One of the easiest mods is you just slap onto the gauge port here an elbow, and then you just put an autococker LPR on here. And then you run the hose yourself right up to the max solenoid. Right, and then another common one here is you gut this. If I could take this off, it's purely a volumizer in here, and that's why this screw is here to seal that port. And then you put an automag vertical adapter on here, and you can run your own high pressure reg. This is just a Black Magic reg off of a WGP gun. So very easy to modify. The regulator's easy. There's plenty of meat on this thing to mill. So again, those guys really went to town with this gun. The early guns had single frames. They later came out with this double trigger, which totally not walkable. But you know, back then you couldn't walk the trigger because you were feeding with a Revy. So, and your gun could only do 11 BPS anyway. So, yeah, just a all-around fun gun. When you're shooting these things, you'd be amazed by how smooth they are. They're smooth for a couple of reasons. One being the fact that they're heavy. Like all old guns, they're quite heavy. I might estimate over 3 pounds easy. And then they, like I was explaining before, they take a long time to cycle, so that usually translates to smooth shooting. Usually fast guns are violent when they fire, and you know, smoother guns, that's why spool valves, one of the big reasons why spool valves don't kick as much as poppet valves, because they take longer to cycle. Same with this thing. So it's a really smooth gun. The other thing is they're really loud. Just because of the way the valve opens in this gun, it's extremely loud. So they can be a lot of fun to shoot. And you can get one for $100, $130, and you can do really simple mods like slapping a cocker LPR on here, slap your favorite reg on here, and you can have a very workable, very fun old school gun to shoot for under $200 probably. So Rainmakers always wanted to have one on the show, and I'm very thankful for getting one on the show. Very cool gun. Unfortunately, I don't own one right now, but they're just a ton of fun to have. So if you're looking to get into old school guns, this is one of my recommendations. It's full of character, and that's what those of us who love old school guns love, is guns full of character. And this is certainly one of them. So thanks for joining me, and like I said, I'll try and get some more updates up before Living Legends, but check me out at Living Legends. Bryce will be there, the whole Tech PB crew is going to be there. We'll have a trailer, a tent, we'll have it all. Also, if you know me or something like that, or you registered for Living Legends and you're on the man side, the Punkworks squad is going to be a scenario team here under that system, and we're going to put together a sweet team. We already got about 18 guys signed up for it, so if you want to get on the Punkworks team, find me, let me know. Would love to have you, and just have a good time. So talk to you guys later. See ya.